Hey, this is Kieran, Coach's Corner Chats, and joining me is Jacob Plucker. Jacob, where are you at and what are you up to?
Yeah, I'm at Missouri Western State University, located in St. Joseph, Missouri. We're part of the MIAA, and we're a Division II program.
How long have you been?
A little over a year now, just over a year.
So when you look back on that first year, what are some of your, when you kind of reflect back, what were some of your big takeaways from that experience?
Yeah, this is my third stop as a head coach, so each one's a little bit different with how you kind of approach it and what you're trying to accomplish, kind of in the short term compared to the long term. And so it's been fun. I kind of grew up in Missouri, so to kind of come back, and I know some coaches in the area, so it was like I said, it felt like home. And so we wanted to kind of get the program going in the right direction again. There's been some turnover the last couple of years, so just trying to provide some stability and kind of a vision for what it's going to take for us to get the program where we want to be.
Now that you've got through that first year, what are your plans now as you move into year two? You transition, you start saying, "I want to make this my full program and more of what I want it to be."
Yeah, again, it's one of those where I think year one was kind of the feeling out phase. Everyone trying to see, okay, well, who's the new coach? What is he trying to implement? How are things going to work? So kind of again, that proof of concept was there, and I think they've bought in. I think they understand that, hey, with who we have as a team, what we're capable of. If we continue to work hard and work on implementing what we're trying to as a program and kind of have an identity. We have the opportunity to make some strides. It's an extremely tough conference. So to me, that's the fun part. You got to love the grind. You got to love kind of, the commitment that it takes to make those strides as a program. So it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun.
You talk about just taking over the program. When did you actually step in and become head coach?
I believe it was January 15th last year. So like I said, I've been here about a year and a few days.
What's it like those first couple weeks when you get on campus? Like what things do you try to accomplish in terms of like connecting with players? What was the goal for, I guess, the spring in terms of how you were trying to get the program started?
Yeah, big on that relationship piece. So getting to know our student athletes, getting to kind of allow them to know who I am and just being available so that way they can get a better idea of who I am and what we're trying to do as a program and as a staff. And so it's just being available, breaking things down, getting to know who they are as a person and, what are some of their interests even outside of soccer, just to kind of, like I said, build that rapport. I'm a big believer that, if your culture is right and they understand that you're there to support them and help them even beyond just the soccer field or the games, that, it's going to go a long way, and I've been fortunate enough at my previous stops to be able to continue to build those relationships with past players who now are starting families or getting married or even, have kids of their own that are slowly dating myself, but getting to where, I might be able to start recruiting them and, and look at having them join our program. So, to me, that relationship piece is massive. And then some of it, again, was just kind of rewiring the brain of, okay, here's what our standard is. Here's what our expectation is. What do we want this program to be? It's their program, so take that ownership and, that accountability piece, and we'll continue to mold it and guide it to allow us to, hopefully have the success that we want.
You mentioned earlier kind of going full circle back to Missouri. When did soccer enter Jacob's life as a youth?
Man, I was probably 3 or 4. My dad was a rescue swimmer in the Coast Guard growing up, so we moved around quite a bit. So I always had, family, soccer, and faith, and so those are 3 things that are extremely important to me and kind of how we kind of mold our program. So it was nice to kind of have soccer as that icebreaker whenever we move, to be able to make friends, or the playing style out on the West Coast compared to down south in Alabama, or even in Missouri. So it's been nice to have and be able to see all that the U.S. has in regards to style and type of play.
As you were growing up, does that lead to high school experience? Do you end up playing maybe in the college level?
Yeah, so I finished, or I played in high school in Southern Missouri. My dad had retired at that point, and so it was a smaller areas, about 12,000 in population. So it wasn't the biggest soccer scene. Thankfully, between my dad and a few others in the community, they really kind of helped with the rec and some of the club soccer opportunities. I walked on at a Division II Missouri Southern when they had a men's program. Kylie Cirillo was the coach there, and he took a chance on me. And again, the mindset was just come in and compete, come in and work. Try to get better. Control what I can control. And I knew even going into my junior year of high school that I really wanted to coach collegiately. I can remember a time my teammate and I were sitting in English class, and we were getting ready to play a top team in the state. And okay, well, what do you think coach is going to do with shutting down, the leading goal scorer, and what formation or what, so just kind of already talking strategy and back and forth, and to be able to do it at the collegiate level where we can go out and kind of recruit and find the different pieces and bring them in. That's something I truly enjoy as well, is seeing the team come together and those lifelong friendships and relationships being made from someone, maybe it's California who's with someone from Iowa or even overseas, to be able to then kind of pair them together. And, some of my closest friends are some of my college teammates. So, and they're obviously spread out throughout the US and even the world. So that part is always awesome to be able to watch and see that grow.
You mentioned even in high school, having that kind of feeling and gusto to become a coach. Was there a coach that impacted you, that kind of pushed you in that direction, or what kind of made you think coaching is something I'd like to go into?
All the coaches that I've had, and my dad was, one of my coaches in the rec and kind of coming up beforehand. Nick Schmidt was my high school coach in West Plains, and obviously had a few collegiate coaches as well. And to me, I like being a part of a team. I like being a part of something that's bigger than oneself. Just the joy of being able to battle, to grind with a teammate or a collective, as opposed to kind of doing it individually. So to me, like I said, I've just loved that team aspect of it.
When you look back on the Missouri Southern experience, what is that like? I mean, to walk on and like you're literally having, like you talk about, battle for everything that you have. What was that experience like when you look back on it?
Yeah, I thought I was going to be biting off more than I could chew. I totally went in with the expectation, okay, I'm coming from a smaller town. We played at a lower level high school. I'll probably redshirt the first year, just be a sponge, try to put in the extra work, again, control what I can control. And I think having the mindset and the work rate that I did, I was able to kind of close that gap, and I had opportunities. I was able to make the first travel trip, and even play a few games as a freshman. So that was exciting, and kind of that reassurance of, okay, like this is something that I'm capable of. You have to be able to continue to put in the work and have that right mindset. But again, it's fun. I said the challenge, that's why you do anything. The competitions in certain games. I love playing the best teams. To be the best, you got to play the best. So in the MIAA, every game is a grind, and so it's fun. It's fun to be a part of this conference where 4 or 5 teams regularly can make it to regionals or the national tournament and setting. So hey, you can't slip. Every game you got to show up and you got to be able to perform.
While you're at Missouri Southern, at what point, how do you go? How's the next part of Jacob's journey begin after that?
Yeah, so I was there for 2 years, and I hurt my back, so I took a year off, moved back home, started high school coaching with the same high school coach that I played for. I knew I wanted to finish up and play collegiately, so I was rehabbing and then just helping out. And so I think being able to be a part of that and start kind of the coaching experience that way was something that really kind of then reaffirmed, like, okay, yeah, this is definitely what I want to do, and I still had friends and brothers of teammates that were playing high school. So It was nice to hear them say, oh, I don't think we would have had the success if we didn't have you helping, or I wouldn't have been able to make the improvements I did without, you helping. That was kind of, like I said, that was cool. Cause again, that's why we do what we do. It's to see others have success and to improve. So, I did that for a season. Again, there were some things that then Missouri Southern had dropped the men's program. So I finished up at William Penn in Oskaloosa, Iowa, as a little NAIA school. And again, that was where it all kind of finished and started to be a GA there as well. I played for Kevin Rushing, and then Greg Jurosic was there when I was finishing up as a graduate assistant. And then after those 2 years, went to Kansas Wesleyan with Mike Dabini and Gabe Romo and those guys, and had the opportunity to get my first head coaching job in Aberdeen, South Dakota, which was fun. I knew the athletic director up there, and to me, it's an opportunity. It's to start a program. It was kind of my baby, the opportunity to kind of build it, and first head coaching opportunity, you're not going to be as picky, but you want to be able to make sure that it's something where you feel you can build and have success. And I was there for 4 years. We were able to build it. The last year I was there was the best record we had in history. So that was also, like I said, pretty cool to see how far it had developed. And then from there, had the opportunity to go out to Eastern Oregon University for 6 years. And that was a whole another challenge, and a lot of fun. We've had a lot of success out there as well, making it to the national tournament for the 6 years and winning conference and multiple times. And that was, like I said, couldn't ask for a better situation to be able to go into for the second opportunity. And then when this opportunity came up, knew a few coaches. Obviously, I said it's another challenge, another kind of step to see. And again, I love the building aspect. I love being a part of that process. So came out for the interview, got a really good feel. We have amazing facilities. We have resources to be successful. I've mentioned the conference multiple times with how challenging that is. Kind of got me closer to where some of my high school and even college friends are. So to kind of be back in the Midwest, and we're going to run with it and see what we can do.
Just kind of going back to that first experience coaching with your high school coach, what's that like to go from what is coach thinking about to actually being in the conversations with them of like, oh, this is what he was thinking about when we were players? How cool was that to go kind of almost, again, we've talked about full circle a little bit. What was that like for you?
Yeah, no, it is. It's one of those where everyone has their thoughts and their views of, oh, why was this done? But to be on the other side, kind of looking at it through a different coach as opposed to a player, no, it's nice. And again, he allowed me to kind of, I ran the JV squad, but then also was the main assistant on the varsity squad as well. So, and he really helped me and gave me kind of some of that initial confidence of, okay, I'm capable of being able to, to coach, and as long as I can continue to grow and kind of bring the right mindset and approach to it. And so, he knew it was kind of probably a 1 year opportunity to allow me to then go finish playing and get my degree. But yeah, I can't thank him enough for, it was what I was thinking about it, but then he had actually reached out to me when he heard that I was going to be back in West Plains. He had kind of reached out and said, hey, I'd love for you to come in and be my assistant. So very, very thankful for that opportunity. And even like this past fall, he went to 4 or 5 of our games this year, which I thought was really cool just to kind of see it all come full circle. So, that was neat because growing up, again, the family piece of it, he was very much a part of, the soccer family at the time. And here we are 10, 12 years later, he's, still showing up to watch.
You mentioned being at school at Iowa to finish up and then get the GA spot. How does that conversation come about? We hear about people going, hey, I'm looking to get a graduate assistant. Like, do you go to the coach? Was it another one of those where the coach kind of recognized that, I think Jacob might be really good at this coaching thing. Let's try to keep him on and help him mentor him and then help him kind of blossom and grow.
Yeah. With that one was definitely unique because initially, I was there for 2 or 3 years, finished up my playing, and I wanted initially I wanted a different kind of perspective. I wanted to try to go, maybe elsewhere to be a graduate assistant. There was some family health concerns. My dad came down with cancer, and so it was just one of those where it was just kind of more convenient to be able to, all right, stay where I'm at. I'm still close to family at the time. And again, obviously, I think everything happens for a reason, and I was able to learn a lot from, from rushing, and even from Greg Jurosik when he was there. So, it was one of those, it was good, and it worked out to allow me to continue to develop and put me in a spot to, I said, find that next step.
What is the experience being a GA? People hear that and they're like, "Oh, it's probably awesome." And then what exactly does that entail? What are some of the tasks, roles, responsibilities of a GA?
It's anything and everything. At the kind of the smaller schools, you wear a lot of different hats. But like anything, we tell our girls in our teams this all the time. To me, it's all about the mindset that you approach it and the attitude that you approach it. So I loved it because, again, I knew this is what I wanted to do. So anything and everything, washing laundry, picking up food orders, helping pick up recruits from the airport, obviously running sessions, breaking down film. The recruiting piece was something that I still love, just to be able to go out and watch games and watch teams and find those diamonds in the rough. Or, you're sitting down next to a bunch of different schools, and, everyone has their different view of what they're looking for. And maybe you see something that somebody else doesn't, and you're able to have that kid come to you, and then they're able to flourish. And so that's really nice. But it's a grind. It's definitely it. If you're not in it for the right reasons, it can definitely, burn you out pretty quick. But I think if you have the right approach, if you're in it to serve, be kind of a servant leadership type of role, you'll be able to have that success.
So you finished up the GA spot. Do you just start at that point just sending emails out and resumes?
Yeah.
How do you get your foot in the door after that?
Yeah. No, that one, because that's scary, because you're going, okay, well, I've known this for, 4 or 5 years. Now what? And so, yeah, you put feelers out there, and, a lot of times too, some of the jobs, hey, it's a part-time, it's a $2,000 coaching position, or, I was able to land the Kansas Westland job, and that paid $10,000 for both teams as a part-time assistant. So, it's one of those kind of paying your dues, trying to build the resume, get that different experience, and being able to make it work in order to, not necessarily have the job that you have now, but the job that you want later. So, just staying true to the course, and, keeping my head down and grinding, and, networking, and just trying to, be a sponge to learn, and then be able to apply that in different situations.
What's the experience of dealing with a men's program and a women's program simultaneously? Like, what are some maybe similarities, and what are some differences when dealing with the two different programs?
Yeah. It's funny because I get asked that quite a bit in regards to, well, what made you choose the women's side of things? And, even when I went to presentation, again, I was originally hired just to be the women's coach, but then the men's coach left late. So then they asked me, oh, do you want to help out and take on the men's coach? And I was 27 at the time. I'm sitting there going, okay, I have an opportunity to kind of double my experience in a year, by coaching both programs. And to me, obviously, there's different aspects, whether it's maybe the style of play, the physicality, the approach that, maybe a men's side takes compared to a women's side. But, ultimately, I settled on the women's side just because I feel, you're able to truly buy into that team component more, and that team aspect. And, not that you look at like men's soccer, women's soccer, and men's soccer, sometimes, they'll roll around and they'll exaggerate tackles and diet. Whereas, a lot of the time on the women's side, hey, they might have a bloody nose, but then they're getting right back up and they're going, so just that kind of approach that they take, I just fell in love with that aspect of it, and, being able to teach that and help that. I had, which was also probably one of my coaching highs, my younger sister, I actually got to coach her last year at college. She transferred up to where I was. And so I got to coach her collegiately, which was, like I said, that was a really cool experience.
Wow. That's really, really amazing. Like, you hear people coach maybe when they're younger, like, oh, I helped out with their rec team or whatever. What was that dynamic like, or like having, coach, player, but then also brother, sister? What were those kind of conversations and those moments like?
Yeah, so that was the first year at presentation, and so she was kind of called the grandma of the team because she was going in there last year and everybody else was basically freshmen. We had a couple of transfers, but I think it was one of those, with our bond, we're really close with having moved around and all that. And again, soccer was kind of that common connection. So I was able to help her out at high school and even a little bit at the club level. So she was kind of deciding if she wanted to, because she kind of followed me up at Penn where she was playing, and then I just kind of say, hey, I've got this opportunity, if you want to transfer up, and and she did, and I think she really enjoyed it because again, she understood the situation of, look, this is going to be a first year program. We're probably going to take our lumps, which we did, but I know it was one of those where she felt it was probably one of her more successful seasons and just felt better about things just with how we were able to build things. But yeah, being able to coach her, I sit back and I say that was probably one of the coolest moments of my coaching career so far.
How does a coach end up in, I believe you said South Dakota?
Yeah.
Next, like when I hear South Dakota, it doesn't scream soccer to me, but how cool to be able to go there. And like you said, over the 3-4 years that you were there, you were able to build it into a solid program. What was it about that experience that kind of resonates and stands out to you that helped build that momentum?
Sure. So when I was playing at William Penn, and then when I was a graduate assistant, Brian Spielbauer was the women's basketball coach at the time. He would come in when I was again at GA, just ask a lot of questions about just soccer related stuff. And I didn't think too much into it, but then he had transitioned to athletic director and he got the job in South Dakota. And so after I was at Kansas Weston for a year, he had then kind of reached out, hey, got this job. Would you be interested? So it was nice that, again, I knew some coaches that were up there from previous stops, and to be able to have that support with knowing, hey, there's going to be some growing pains. There's going to be some mistakes because it's a first-year program, first-time head coach. One of my former college roommates and teammates, William Brazel, actually came up. He was at a Division III school in Texas working in the athletic staff department. He came up and was my assistant coach. So I said it was cool to kind of have that, again, family feel of individuals that I've been around, at whether it's the GA level or even as a collegiate athlete myself. So that was again a very fun experience. And to me, you learn a lot, even in the seasons that aren't great. You still got to be able to kind of sift through it and, okay, this worked, this didn't. Hey, if you can survive this, you're going to be able to survive, different things that come up. So definitely, again, a great experience. Like you mentioned, South Dakota was, if you can recruit in South Dakota, you're and then be able to have some success, you should be able to transfer that to different spots. And so far, like I said, we've been able to do that, and we're hoping to do the same thing here.
How important to have those kind of conversations beyond just soccer? Like you talk about a basketball coach at that time talking to you about soccer and coaching, and then he became athletic director. How important it is to not stay in your bubble and be a part of the athletic department, I guess, in a way, and become, to build relationships, not just with your players, but with other coaches and staffs that are a part of it.
I think it's massive, because you never know. The coaching community is such a small world with who knows who or who's worked with who. So a lot of times, it's who and being able to network. I've had assistants at other places, and so I've told you, when you're going to camps or when you're going on recruiting events, make sure you're getting out there and you're talking with other coaches, just so you can kind of build that rapport with others. And so whether it's for using them as a reference on a resume, or, hey, we have this job open, I think this person would be great. I know a guy, or I know someone who would be interested. So, I think that's definitely a piece and a component that can sometimes get overlooked, because a lot of times, especially kind of maybe in the day and age that we live in, of I'm just going to keep my head down, I'm going to stay in my lane, not focus on maybe helping others or things like that. I think it's important, especially as, say, a head coach, being able to help your assistants grow and give them the opportunities. Don't get me wrong. I would love to have an assistant that, has been with me and stays with me the entire time, just because, again, that we have that chemistry and that rapport. But it's also, if that's their goal and aspiration to be a head coach or to move on, to be able to help them to grow in that role and be more comfortable and confident. So that way, when an opportunity presents itself, they're able to then take advantage of it. And then it also looks good for us or for myself as a staff of, hey, I've been able to help these people get to these jobs. And so maybe it allows us to bring in, some high caliber assistant opportunities.
So as you're building a program there in South Dakota, what is it that draws you away and heads out west to Oregon?
Yeah. So I had lived in Washington, Oregon at the earlier stages of my life. And then my parents, when they officially retired, they moved back out to Washington State because that was one of the spots, like I said, where my dad was serving. And so it was an opportunity to be closer to family. It is beautiful out there. And, I gambled because I didn't necessarily have, anything lined up, and had kind of turned down some other opportunities that were even at the time top 25 NAIA programs, to take this job, to take the one that I felt was going to be the right fit and a better opportunity for quality of life. And like I said, thankfully I had great people around me there as well. Angie Weisenflew, athletic director, and even the other coaches were awesome. And so, yeah, that one got me about 7 hours from family. And, it was just a beautiful kind of change of scenery. South Dakota is a little flat, a little cold in the winter. Here, in Oregon, it was, so you had your mountains and, it wasn't as bad. So it was nice, but it was fun to, like I said, kind of take that next step.
You've mentioned family throughout this chat. What has it been like, not just for you, but for them to watch you attack and say, I want to be a coach, and they could tell that's what you wanted to do? What's it been like for them to watch you kind of build programs and go through all this journey of yours?
Sure. I feel, I've been very blessed with my family, with my parents. My dad, as he was a rescue swimmer, he may not have been around a lot, but then when he retired, all throughout high school, so I have an older brother and a younger sister. Older brother was a cross country track guy. I said younger sister, she played soccer. I don't think there was a time, whether it was high school or even a lot of college, where he wasn't at the games or the events. So, very fortunate, and they've been very, very big on kind of, hey, it's not always about money. Do something that you're going to be passionate about. Do something that you're going to love and enjoy. Even now, whether it's any of the stops that I've been at, he's either watching online. They're even my mom. They're watching. They're in person. They're sending me critiques and notes. So, hey, what were you doing here? Why didn't you do that there? At different times, and they know also because I don't like losing. Like I said, winning is a lot more fun. So they know if we lost it, maybe give me some time before they reach out and ask questions or this or that. But I've gotten better over the years. No, I've been truly blessed to have a family that's extremely supportive and, care about the success of not just myself or my brothers and sisters, but even like the team, and the girls that we've had. So it's again, one of the kind of cores of our program and things that we're big on, and in a day and age where it's a lot of I and me, again, I'm very big on it's the we and the us. You have to be able to sacrifice, certain things that maybe you want for the collective or for the group. And so, that can be tough, like I said, because we're in a day and age of, me and I want this. So, no, I've been blessed with a great family for sure.
When we hear about the grinding and getting after it and all that kind of stuff, what does Jacob do? Does Jacob ever turn the soccer brain coach off? And if so, I mean, what do you do to kind of get away? I know people try to talk about work-life balance, and
yeah,
I don't think I've ever met a coach that can do that. But are there moments where you talk about Oregon, like being beautiful and stuff? Do you get out and like what things did you do or do you do to kind of just, all right, I need some time for Jacob?
It can be tough. There's times where I'm constantly thinking about it, whether it's recruiting, whether it's okay, what can we do to get better? How are we, what are we lacking? But there's moments like in Oregon, I was able to. There was a ski lift 45 minutes away from where I lived, so I wouldn't get cell service, so I could kind of go get away a little bit and not have to worry about that. Just listen to music and go snowboarding. I'll go down to Mexico for a few days here and there, just kind of to get away, vacation, and not have cell service. So it's one of those, I almost have to kind of force myself not to be able to have the service, because otherwise, I'm going to be checking emails, I'm going to be following, I'm going to be looking up. And I think that's probably been the biggest complaint that I've gotten from my family throughout the years, is if we're on a family function or a trip, and man, get off your phone. And I definitely need to do better and be better with that. But it's one of those where, okay, like it's not about me. It's, if there's something with the team, or if a girl has a problem or this or that, I feel, as my role, I need to be able to try to help as much as possible. So yeah, it is definitely trying to find a balance, and it can be tough, but I mean, 24/7, there'll be time you'll wake up in the middle of the night. Oh man, that would be great. And you just write something down, or you think about something. And, I think, again, that's where that passion and that joy comes from for what you do.
You mentioned with the moving as a youngster, so you played soccer in different states, and now you've coached all across the U.S. and what have you. Is there different styles of play?
Oh, definitely.
In the U.S. and can you kind of maybe characterize like a little bit of what Missouri's like versus South Dakota versus Oregon versus maybe your experiences in the South?
Sure. I think, again, you can look like the West Coast is maybe a little, maybe that smaller, more shifty type technical player. In the Midwest, you have kind of the bigger, stronger type of players. And so again, that's one thing I love is, okay, can you find some of those different pieces to bring in to kind of mesh and kind of, maybe a team struggles with if you have a lot of speed, or maybe this team is going to struggle if you have more size and physicality. So, it's just about the balance or kind of how you want to approach it. I'm big on, obviously we want to try to bring in the best, student athlete that we can, but, we want them to be the right fit. We want to, we might have an idea of the direction of whether it's formation or strategy or, approach. But when we report for August, it's, oh man, we thought we're this, but we're actually that. So let's adapt and let's adjust to put our players in that position to be successful. So no, but it's definitely, it's interesting to see the different styles based off the location.
The other thing you were mentioning was the need, not necessarily the need, but having to be able to be connected to players with social media and with the ability to have your phone and email. When you think back to like you yourself being a walk-on to now what it is as a coach, how has technology and social, how has that impacted and changed? Even as you've been coaching, you think about recruiting and some of the, how has that impacted what you do as a coach and all of it?
The landscape has definitely changed, and it's crazy to think. Obviously, I think for the better, in the sense of, if you're good enough, you can be found. Like you have the platforms to be able to be seen and have those opportunities. It's funny. I do question a little bit sometimes of, okay, are kids doing it then for the right reasons, or are they doing it for the clicks or to get looked at? And then, okay, you were scraping off snow to be able to get touches when you're in high school trying to get recruited. Now we're at the collegiate level. Are you still doing that to be able to, put in extra work to get better? Or was it just, in that moment to look good, to try to, give yourself that opportunity? So again, that's why it's important to really kind of, vet the student athlete, talking with club coaches, high school coaches. Hey, who are they as a person? Who are they as a teammate? How do they handle adversity? How are they off the field? Are they capable of cheering and encouraging others when the others are having success? So, it's important to be able to find that right fit. You want it to be a win-win for obviously your program, but then that student athlete as well.
So you're out in Oregon doing your thing, and then this opportunity comes up. What draws you back to Missouri?
Yeah, I think, again, the Division II level, being able to be also, we were in kind of remote Oregon. I was 2.5 hours from from Boise. That was probably the biggest city. So we were a little bit more isolated. So being here, we're 45 minutes from Kansas City. Our longest travel here is 5 hours. That was like our shortest travel in the conference that we were in. We were going 13, 14 hours on a bus ride, just for one game, playing another game. We'd leave Thursday morning, get back, Monday morning, and they'd have to go to class and basically do it all again. So it was tough. But the conference, the level, again, the location of knowing that we have resources, we have amazing facilities. The Kansas City Chiefs use our complex for their preseason training camp and stuff. So, we have a full indoor turf facility. We have, 2 amazing grass fields. There's on our Twitter bio, or X bio now, I guess. Sorry. There's a cool little video that kind of shows our facilities. We have an amazing stadium. We're constantly growing and expanding our sports performance staff, our athletic training staff, our recovery staff. So, again, just the ability to, have some of those resources and facilities that in the previous 10 years weren't really at my disposal, and to have some of that additional help, made it intriguing. And don't get me wrong, it was tough. It was really tough to leave because, like we've talked about, like I'm big on that family piece. I'm very big on the building that rapport. So, it wasn't just I wasn't going to leave just to be leaving. I wanted it to be, okay, like this team is in need of somebody, and, we have the ability to hopefully, make something successful. And so like I said, it was emotional on any spot that I left, just because of, again, how much you put into it, and that's the piece that, even as coaches, it can wear you down a little bit because there's so much invested and so much involved that you do. And thankfully, at Eastern, I was able to leave it in good hands. My former assistant, Josh Goodman, took over and said he hasn't missed a beat with where they're at, and he's doing a great job with them. So very fortunate to be able to see that program still succeed. I follow, I watch, I want them to continue to have the success. I want them to do better than, what we were able to accomplish. So, I think that's it. And it was time. I said 6 years. I was sitting, okay, it's time to, maybe look at that next opportunity. And again, it was the right time, right choice to make that move.
When you start looking kind of big picture in the next 5-10 years, are you looking at Missouri, like what's Missouri Western State, as kind of maybe this is the place they build on? Or is there still part of you that's maybe like, hey, what if D1 was an opportunity, or maybe something else? Are you always kind of open to other opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, that question, it gets brought up a lot. It was brought up a lot when I was at Eastern, because it's like, okay, you've been here 4 or 5 years, you've had a lot of success. Are you looking to get out? And I tell you the same thing I told them. Like, I'm not looking to get out. Again, I don't go search the job boards, constantly. I honestly didn't even know some of the, certain jobs are open or not. So I like it here. I bought a house. I plan on being here. I want to be able to build it and to grow it. And so that way, like I said, it's one of those, when, who knows what the future holds. At least the program is in a much better spot. But like I said, I foresee myself being here. I want to be here. And I'm excited about what we can make this program and where we can take it. So, and I think we've got some really good pieces in place with the team, and then with the staff as well.
When you talked really highly of your dad and what he did in terms of job wise, what about his almost like role model, or what he was? How big of an impact was that for you, and how you now carry yourself as a coach and man?
Sure. I think, growing up, I didn't realize how awesome of a professional. I mean, he was jumping out of helicopters in the water, trying to save people, and I don't think that really registered until much later in life. So that was really cool. And then, my mom, she was a nurse, an RN, and doing all that stuff too. So, I think looking at my family as a whole, and kind of the serving others and helping others is kind of been what's been ingrained in kind of our upbringing, and to be able to to continue that. I had thought about maybe going the Coast Guard route, but again, I mentioned that I wanted to play college athletics and I wanted to potentially get into coaching. And that was one thing that, my dad had brought up because he was a heck of an athlete. He was cross country runner. I think he was a linebacker, and like he was just athletic. And he didn't have that opportunity to play collegiately. And, that was I know he's brought it up, kind of one of his regrets that he wished he would have been able to. So I think it's been nice that he's been able to kind of live through his kids and being able to see them have success and play collegiate athletics. And then again, going on to have careers. But yeah, I mean, both my parents being able to be there and help and make sacrifices for us as a family to go to different camps, or, granted, shoes weren't as expensive then as they were now. Copas were $86 then. I think they're like $186 now. But making those different sacrifices to allow us, the kids to be able to do different things. Said very, very fortunate and blessed to have them in our lives.
One of the things that I've heard you say a couple of times, and I wanted to know kind of where that came about, was the control, what you can control. Is that something that you've just picked up? Was it in a book? Is that one of your pillars of like the way you run your program? Where did that kind of resonate or come from for you?
I think just throughout growing up, and then, again, I'm as a head coach and as a sports fan, I love football, love 49ers. So it killed me that they lost the Super Bowl, especially to the Kansas City Chiefs, who are right here. But, you watch and you listen to a lot of coaches speak and how they've built programs. And as a coach, I love being able to kind of fine tune and steal different things that they, maybe do, and how can we tweak it to implement it into our program. So, to me, it's just one of those, you're not going to be able to control everything. So can we adapt? Can we, not blame and just kind of focus on us? And so that kind of control you can control is kind of a part of that, and it's at that. And then the big, the ownership piece right now is, look, it's so much easier in the day and age to blame others or to make excuses for why X, Y, or Z didn't happen. But can you look in the mirror and can you own it and say, okay, I could have done this, or, I need to do this if I want, a different result. So, to me, it's all just about being able to find ways to find solutions or get solutions, as opposed to just creating or bringing up problems.
Last thing I want to ask about, you mentioned earlier having the back injury in college and then rehabbing and then going back and playing. When you look back on that, why continue to push through the pain? Why rehab? And then what did that kind of help teach you that now helps you as a coach when you're dealing with your players now that kind of go through adversity?
Sure. I just love the game. I wanted to be able to play as long as I could. And again, I was not the greatest player by any means. Technically I was probably subpar, but again, it's the work rate. It's the being about the team. It's, again, just all the small little details that play a big role in things. But, and to me, that is something I think this day and age is something that if we can continue to harp on and bring back, like, why are you here? What do you want out of it? Or, is it worth putting in all this time and effort? You have to be able to say yes, because otherwise, if you're not going to enjoy that, if you're not going to enjoy the kind of working in the dark component of it, then it's going to be tough to have that success. And there's going to be setbacks. But again, and there's another quote, I know it was a professional football player at one point, is like, injuries can be career ending or career defining. You have the opportunity to take that next step and kind of, one thing we're big on right now is this spring is write your chapter. Did you not like what your fall was? It's a different chapter now. So write your new chapter. What is it going to look like? You have the ability, you have the pen and paper, write your chapter. And I'm sure the teams, whether it's current, whether it's past, have been probably eye roll a lot, because I do send a lot of motivational stuff. I do send a lot of quotes or things that I see that it's inspiring, or it look like it's going to take a lot, and again, to me, if you have that passion, if you have that drive and that fire, to be able to, and it's not going to guarantee that you're going to have success, you're going to have to have some of those setbacks, and we've told our team this year as well, like this was the first losing season I think I've had as a head coach in 6 or 7 years. And I don't like that feeling. So that's driven me to work that much harder to try to help us, and put us in positions to be able to get where we want to be. So, it's all about the journey and enjoying it. And like I said, having fun with it.
Jacob, this chat's been awesome, and that's a perfect way to shut this thing down. This is Karen, Coach's Corner Chats with Jacob Plocher, and I'm out. Peace.
Thank you.